welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the brand new Beauty Bay collaboration with Mmmmitchell. I know it's Mitchell, but it's more fun to say it that way. The brand new collaboration between Beauty Bay and Mitchell, the Me, Myself and Mitchell palette. This came out on Sunday, the 1st of September at 6 o'clock, and I received my email confirmation at 6:01. I paid for next day delivery and I got the palette yesterday, so Monday the 2nd. And I know what you're thinking, Aurora, if you got this palette yesterday, why are you filming today? Funny story. I did actually try the palette yesterday and I tried to film a video and it didn't exactly go very well. I don't like this look that I've created at all. I found this gorgeous rainbow look by Alice Gilman Makeup that I wanted to recreate, and Alice, if you ever watch this video, I'm sure you won't, but I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for what I did to your makeup look. It just came out so bad. So bad. I looked like one of those rainbow clown wigs, basically, and I realised I just didn't have an opinion on the palette. I just didn't know if I liked it or not, and I realised that that just wasn't doing any favours to anyone. I mean, it definitely wasn't doing any favours to me because it looked terrible, but it's not helpful for you guys watching the review if you just watch it and at the end someone goes, oh, I don't know how, I don't know. There's just not really any point. So this isn't going to be a first impression, but I figured it would be a lot more useful to you guys if I just refilm this. I think the best way to structure this today is if I start by giving you the details of the palette, just all of the kind of basic impartial information. I'm going to do the tutorial after that, and then right at the end I will do the swatches, and that way I can give you my opinions at the end as we're going through those, and I maybe have some comparisons to other shades. That's how we're going to structure it today, so let's just jump right into the palette. So first of all, I think the Beauty Bay are quite excited about this collaboration because this is currently the inside of their box, and they also included this little card about the collaboration, which tells you that it will be available on the 1st of September and to get your hands on it before it's too late. When the palette was in the box, if you're going to try and sell me Metal Straws by Jeffree Star to be better for the environment, Beauty Bay, maybe we don't need this if I'm already buying the palette. Just a thought. The palette comes in this black box with the name of it written on it in these psychedelic shades, and it's very thick. I didn't expect that. On the back, just a bit of information about the palette. So it is a pressed pigment palette. We've got a little bit of text from Mitchell kind of explaining the palette and basically saying how much he loves everyone. We've then got the ingredients for the various shades. It does say it is both cruelty-free and vegan, and the shelf life is 12 months. You are getting 32 eyeshadows in this, and they are 2.8 grams. That's pretty good. Just for comparison, the Anastasia Beverly Hills 14 shades palette, so this is my buttered modern renaissance. This is 0.7 grams each, so that's about a third of what you're getting in the Mitchell palette. The Juvia's Place palette says 32.4 grams, which is 3.6 grams per shadows, so that's bigger shadows, but you're only getting 9, and I think it might be the same price as a Mitchell palette. Finally, my buttered as well, Morphe 35B. This one contains 35 shades, obviously, and 56.2 grams, which is 1.6 each, so you're getting 3 shades more in this, but a bit less product. So the palette retails for £30, and there is a note on there as well saying, attention, some colours contain pigments which according to US law may not be suitable for use in the eye area. It's just regulations. We have different regulations in the EU as we do in the US, so in the US this is not considered eye safe. In the EU it is. So that's the basic information there. So when you open it up, it is quite thickly wrapped up in bubble wrap, so that's nice. So I wouldn't really expect it to arrive damaged, so that explains the thickness of the original box. And when you take that off, here's the palette. So again, that's psychedelic colour palette. Not really my cup of tea, but from what I've seen from Mitchell, this does make a lot of sense. The packaging is cardboard with a magnetic closure, and it does feel quite solid, so I don't feel like it's just going to open up in my bag or anything if I'm travelling. So when you open it up, this is what it looks like. So you have a mirror in the middle, I'm so scared of damaging it. So there you go. So this is what it looks like. So you've got a mirror in the middle, which is double-sided, and it's a nice big square as well. So if you did want to take this traveling with you, you've got this great mirror in there. And there you go. When you open it up, here's what it looks like. Okay, so we've got 32 shades in there. We've got one side that's more your warm tones, and then on this side more your cool tones. We've got a mixture of brights, got some neutrals as well, we've got some shimmers. There's really a good mix within this palette. So out of the 32 shades, 8 of them are shimmers. All of the shade names start in M. I think that's quite cute, you know, to go with Mitchell. It's definitely got a theme. I really like this side of the palette. I feel like it's really cohesive. I really like the way it's organised. I feel like this one, because they've included some neutrals here as well, it's just not as cohesive. I definitely feel like this side just looks a bit more pleasant. It's quite a good and complete palette. You do have a good range of shades. You've got a black. What you don't have is a matte white, and that's something that can be quite useful. So just something to be aware of if you wanted to take this traveling. You've got your brights, you've got your neutrals, you've got a black. You would just need to take a separate white eyeshadow with you, so just something to be aware of. Just one small detail as well, the mirror is only magnetic on one side, so if I try to do it this way, it's just not sticking. I feel like it might bother some people. It's not going to bother me, but you might find yourself fumbling around trying to get it the right way on. So I think that's it for the basic. I thought it would be quite fun maybe to try recreating one of the campaign shots. So I went onto Beauty Bay to find them, and I think there are 3 looks. I was kind of underwhelmed by them. I follow Mitchell on Instagram. I really like what he does. I think he's really talented, but the campaign shots really underwhelmed me. I don't know, there was just something about them that I just wasn't that big of a fan of. So I figured instead I'd just go to his Instagram and go and find a makeup look. I chose 4 and I could not make my mind up, so I just got my Instagram followers to vote on them for me to see which one looked best. So I'm gonna go and look at it now. Okay, well the results are really close, but it looks like the winner is the pink look. Let's just give it a go. Okay, so my eyes are primed with the PLouise Base, so we're gonna go in with our first colour. I did find yesterday that holding the palette up got a little bit difficult. You can fold it backwards, so it's nice and easy like that, just to hold it up, but I kept sticking my fingers in the colours on the back, so that part not so great. The first shade I'm going to go in with is Morgan, which is this lovely purple down here. I'm going to take it on a Zoeva 231 and start packing that into my crease. So Morgan is one of the shades that I did use yesterday, and I think it's really nice. I really like it. I think it's a really pretty purple. It's a lovely colour. It's packing on really nicely, and it reminds me a lot of Makeup Forever's old purple eyeshadow, which I will try and dig out for you guys and do a little bit of a comparison. I really like that as my first shade. No complaint with this one. I think it's packed on really nicely, and it's just really pretty. I've just quickly wiped my Zoeva 231 in my colour change. The next shade I'm going to go for is going to be from the warm tone side of the palette, and it's going to be the orange over here, which is called Mental. I keep sticking my fingers into the other side of the palette, so I have my doubts about the design. I will say that right now. So I'm just going to use that to start blending out Morgan. That's it's an interesting blend in the middle. So far we're just using shades that I had used yesterday already. As you can see, Mental, it definitely comes out a lot more red, so there's not actually a true orange shade. I don't really like how this is blending out. This is interesting. They are blending out together. I'm just not sure about the colour they're making in the middle, basically. Maybe it will all turn out right in the end this time. I'm going to take a clean 2, 3, 1, and this time I'm going to jump into the yellow, which is called Manchester. And again, just come in and blend that out. You know, for a yellow, it has a good amount of pigmentation. Look at how much it's just picked up. It's blending mental more into an orange. That's more what we were after. It's quite nice. But that transition between mental and Morgan is not impressing me at all. Okay, I feel like I had some really strong feelings about Manchester today, and I think it may just have been the way that I used it. I'm enjoying it a lot more today. I think it's blended out quite nicely, especially with mental. It's not super bright though. I will just say my comment on it yesterday was that it's not a super bright yellow, and I feel like maybe it would be just a bit more versatile if it was, but it works. In today's look, it does work, and I think it's blended out quite nicely. So my opinion on Manchester has definitely changed a little. Yesterday I was using a lot of bigger brushes. I would definitely recommend some more compact brushes like the 231 for example, that are quite dense and quite short. They just give you a bit more control. It's packing on quite nicely. There's something I don't quite like about the transition, but maybe I'm not used to working with a pressed pigment palette. That could be it potentially, but still, as I mentioned, just a huge improvement on what was happening yesterday. Just gonna add a little bit of mental here. I think I'm gonna leave that there, and I'm now gonna move on to the pinks, which I haven't played with yet, so that's exciting. The first one I'm gonna take is this one, which is called Morning Glory. Fair enough. So that's a bright pink, so I would expect it to stain my eyes. I find that I get that with the Morphe palettes, for example, it always leaves staining. And when I swatched it yesterday, it left a little bit on my arm. When I was washing off yesterday's makeup, I didn't use Morning Glory, but I did use Mad, which is the red, and Mad definitely left some staining on me. So that is something to be aware of, but that's something that happens to me with a lot of palettes, so it doesn't really concern me if it does happen. I'm gonna jump in with just a small blending brush. Again, this is just a brush that I got from eBay. I'm going to take Morning Glory and blend that on the inside of Morgan and just kind of pray that it goes well. So this is a really nice bright pink. It's not chalky in any way. Well, I will say that this blend has gone so much better than the top one. This was really nice and easy. I've got a really nice transition, and I'm impressed with Morning Glory. It's a really nice pink. Like I said, not chalky in any way, just nice and bright, and I could see myself using this shade a lot. And the centre of that lid looks like it's a bit more peachy, so I'm going to take Mr. H and just pack that on and see what happens. Okay, basically that's an orange. I feel like the colours in the palette almost look one way, and then when you use it on the lid, they come out a little bit different. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm gonna go back into Morning Glory and blend those out. I've just cleaned the Zoeva brush again. Let me see if I can do anything better with that. Just don't feel like this one is layering very well, to be honest. I feel like a sunset threw up on me right now. Just gonna add some more Morning Glory so it doesn't get lost. I'm actually gonna come in and do my lower lash line. I can't really see from the picture what she's got on there, but I'm gonna take Morning Glory again and start packing that into my lower lash line. I think Morning Glory might be one of my favourite shades. It's a really, just such a lovely neon pink. And then back in with Mr. H just to blend it out. And then just kind of attempting to connect everything up, I guess. It looks like she might have some purple in the lash line. So the first thing I'm going to do is just go back in with Morgan and blend that right into the lash line. The Morgan and Morning Glory blend really well together. I'm going to go in with the NYX Off Tropic Pro Liner. This is the pink one, the shade Crushing It. We've got a lovely big wing going on, so I'm going to go in with my Inglot gel liner, and I've just added a few drops of the Revolution Pro mixing liquid just to thin it out a little. Okay, I'm having one of those days where I just absolutely cannot get my liner to match, but it's fine because the rubbish side is the one that I don't photograph for Instagram, so I'm gonna pretend it's not there. I've also applied a coat of mascara, so I'm just gonna go in with my lashes next, which are the Kiss Midnight Lashes. Okay, even the lash application has gone better than yesterday because I just could not get them on. Anyway, that's it for the eye look for now. Now that the lashes and liner are on, I am actually quite pleased with it. I'm gonna go off, I'm gonna do the rest of my makeup. We'll come back just to finish the eyes off, and then that way we can go into my thoughts on the palette. Okay guys, the rest of my makeup is now on, and I have to say, now that it is, I do like everything a lot more. I think the eye look does work. I'm not quite done though. I'm going to jump back into the palette and try one of the shimmers because we haven't yet. So I'm going to jump into the shade Muffin. Just going to take that on a small brush, and I'm going to pop that on my inner corner and see what that looks like. I'm having to dig in to get that colour out, but that is really pretty. Yeah, I'm really swirling my brush in. This one is pressed quite hard. I was going to use it for my brow highlight as well, but I don't think it's going to quite work, so I'm just going to take my Ofra highlighter in Glazed Donut. That just went everywhere. Just going to take some more of Manchester again. Did not expect that to just go everywhere like that. But yeah, that's it for the look, so let's jump into some swatches. Alright, so the first shade is Manchester, which we have used today. I was, like I said, a lot more impressed with it today than I was yesterday. The only thing I find is that it's quite a golden yellow. So what this palette doesn't have is like a really bright yellow. It wasn't chalky like a lot of yellow eyeshadows could be, so that was a plus. The next colour is Macaroni, which is a puke yellow, the best way to describe it. I don't know how much use I'm gonna get out of that colour, to be honest, but again, not chalky. It does swatch very, very well. The next colour is Modest, so that's gonna be a nice transition colour. The colours kind of confuse me because in the pan I think it looks like a beige. It's really, really creamy. Looking at it, it is actually quite orange, so maybe that is the closest thing we have to an orange in this palette. Yeah, I don't really know what to think about this one, but it is just so buttery when you put your hand into it. The next shade is Melted, and I mean, this one is insane. I think this is the one that people have been most interested in online. It's really what you expect from a good shimmer, so it's super buttery, it's not overly crumbly, and it's really, really reflective in real life. So the next colour is Mental, and as we saw in the tutorial earlier, this in the pan looks like it's the closest thing to an orange that we've got, but actually it does come out a lot more red. The next shade is Man-Made. I haven't used that one yet. That's just a very nice brown, so that'll be part more of your neutral shades. Then we have Mixer. Again, I guess this one is closer to an orange as well, but more yellowy, so we don't have a true orange. We have something that leans more yellow and something that leans more red. So the next one is Muffin, which I use on my eyes. It's really, really pretty. It looks quite white in the pan, but it does come out with that really nice pink on the eyes. The consistency is not the same as it is for Melted. I really was having to dig in. I don't know if it's pressed harder. Not all the shimmers feel equal in this palette. The mattes do, but the shimmers don't. The next shade is Mousse, and that's just like a nice brown burgundy, so I think you can get a lot of very wearable looks out of this palette, especially for autumn. I think it's definitely the right time to release this. The next shade is Mad, so that's a really brilliant cool toned red. When I was using it yesterday on my eyes, I did find that in places it looked more pink than red. Next up is Mr. H, so we've used that on the eyes. That's a really nice, yeah, salmon colour. I'm surprised by that one. It's not a colour that I would pick, but I think it's come out really well. I felt like I did have to pack it on a bit more than the others, but my base was probably quite dry at that point. Then we have Meaty, so that's a really pretty metallic red. Again, this one feels like it's harder pressed than Melted, but not pressed as hard as Muffin, so it is easier to swatch and quite unique. I feel I don't really have anything else in my collection, so I'm looking forward to using that. I feel like that's quite nice at Christmas. Then we have Mini, which is a gorgeous burgundy. really, really, really rich. The next shade is Morning Glory. So again, that's one that I used today. I'm super impressed with it. I think that might be one of the best pinks I've ever tried that wasn't actually just a loose pigment. So then next we have Milkshake, which is a pretty more pastel-y pink. Yeah, I think that one's quite cute. Again, I haven't tried it, so I can't comment on how it blends, but I think it's quite nice. Next one is Mmmmitchell, and this one is gorgeous. I really wish I'd done a look where I got to play more with the shimmers, but this is a true Barbie pink. Oh, it's lovely. Again, don't really think I have anything like it in my collection, just a proper bright Barbie pink, but that's going to be really, really nice to use. The warm side of the palette kind of reminds me of the original PLouise palette. There's a lot of shades that seem similar in there. I don't own it, so I can't compare it. Someone who's got both would have to compare. I'd be very curious to see it. So moving on to the cool side. So the first few shades, Main and Monday, there's some nice browns. They're definitely not the most interesting shades in the palette. I think you can get some really nice neutral looks out of it. Next up we have Mafia, which is the black, and I did use that one yesterday and I was really impressed by it. It's a really nice black. Again, it's not chalky and it was blending out well, so I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of that. I think that's definitely one of the best blacks in my collection. The next shade is Master, and again, that's a gorgeous shimmer. It's not as striking as Melted. It's definitely a lot more wearable, so again, I think that's going to look great in your neutral looks. Then we have Mardi, which is a really deep forest green. It looks really nice and pigmented. Again, not tried it yet, but I do like the way it looks. And then we have, I don't know how to say it, I think it's, is it Shmoney? Is it money? I don't know. I feel a little bit disappointed possibly with this one. It does feel a little bit dry. I wouldn't say it's chalky, but when I saw it in the original photos, I thought it was going to be like a proper lime green. And I did notice yesterday, I didn't feel like it was quite as intense as some of the other ones. That was a colour I was really looking forward to, so for now I'm a little bit disappointed. Then we have Meh, which again is one of the more neutral colours, and to be honest, quite aptly named. It's not particularly exciting. The next one we have is Minty, which is another really light one with a pretty mint green shift. It feels softer than Muffin. It's not pressed too hard. I don't feel like I'm going to have to dig into this one. The next shade is Marine. So I did use Marine yesterday and it's so chunky. It feels like this is definitely the softest pressed one. It's kind of a mess. Very, very chunky. When you do blend it out, I mean, it does have a nice blue shift to it, but it just feels a bit messy. I don't know if it's just my palette that's a bit dodgy. I wasn't overly impressed with it. I don't really think you need Marine and Minty. I feel like if we had a silver, it would be a bit more rounded, so I don't really see the point of having both personally, and Marine is just quite messy to use just because it's so chunky. Next up is Moody Match. It's a really nice navy blue. Blues can be really hard to formulate and they can come out so chalky. You know, if you compare it to the Morphe 35B, it's going to be so chunky, but this one's nice and I enjoyed playing with it yesterday. The next one is Mist, which is the lighter blue, and it's nice. It's not chalky. Again, I did like it yesterday. I did have issues blending that in with the Money shade, but I couldn't tell you which one that was. But again, I feel like I expected it to be a bit brighter. Kind of torn on that one. Another green, which is why I feel like this side of the palette isn't that well organised personally, but it looks like a really nice shade. I've not played with it yet. That proper pine green, it looks really cool and I'm looking forward to playing with that one. Next up, definitely one of the standout shades. I think my favourites so far are definitely Morgan, Morning Glory and Mmmmitchell, even though I haven't used it. I just think it looks amazing. But yeah, such a good purple eyeshadow. There's no issue with chalkiness or patchiness. I've fallen in love with it. If that was sold as a single, I would go for it. Next up is Miles High. So this one is more of a lilac. Not played with it either, but I think it looks promising. I think that blended in with Morgan, that's gonna look great. Again, it doesn't seem chalky. Then we have Motto. So Motto is almost a cool tone version of Mini. So if you've got them next to each other, you can see there's Mini, there's Motto, so similar tones, but one is more burgundy, the other one is a lot more cool tone, and I think it looks like it's going to be nice as well. And finally, the last shade is Mega, and my god, I have nothing like this in my collection. It's one of the softer press ones, but it's, again, not as crumbly as Marine. Marine is definitely the exception there. It's really pretty. I really want to play with it. That particular shade is gorgeous. Again though, as I mentioned earlier, I just don't think the organisation on this side is as appealing as it is on the warm side. Definitely got some gems, but it doesn't inspire me as much when I look at it. Alright guys, so time for my final thoughts on the palette. I think that yesterday I went in really wanting to like the palette, and then things went horribly wrong. So when I started filming this morning, I did want to do a look that worked, but I think I also kind of went in expecting to hate the palette, but actually I do like it. I think I'm gonna get a lot of use out of it. I think the quality of some of the shades is fantastic. I've already stated my favorites multiple times. You will definitely see me using this on Instagram, so if you want to see more of it, make sure you give me a follow. Do I think you should go out and buy the palette? That entirely depends on what you already own. If you already have every rainbow palette under the sun, you're not really going to get anything new out of this. If you have the James Charles palette, that's got rainbows and that's got neutrals as well, and that's actually got more shades. Do you need this as well? Probably not. There's kind of a similar idea there, and they're both pressed pigments. If you have the new Stacey Marie Carnival XL palette, everyone I've spoken to who's just bought that, they're not getting this because, again, there's neutrals in there, there's brights, they're kind of similar, and that one does have more shades, it's more expensive, but it is overall a bit more complete. If, however, you don't have any rainbow palettes yet, or you're looking to upgrade from, say, the Morphe 35B, you want something that's better quality, this is a good palette. It's not overpriced. I think £30 is decent for what you're getting, considering it's 32 shades and you're getting quite a lot of product, and yeah, the quality is nice. So yeah, if you're looking to add a bit of colour to your collection, or you want a bit of an all-rounder, something maybe that you can travel with that's quite compact but still has a lot of variety, or even if you're just, you know, a big fan of Mitchell and you want to support him, this is a pretty good option, and I think the price point is pretty decent. It is now sold out on Beauty Bay, but yeah, it's not a bad one to add to your collection. But if you've already got every other rainbow palette that's come out this year, you can probably give this one a skip. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please make sure you give it a big thumbs up and leave me a comment to let me know what you thought of it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next video, and I'll see you all on the next one. Bye guys!